Cosmic horror has this uncanny ability to capture and portray the abstract. In the movie Annihilation, we get to experience this through its most compelling element called the shimmer. The shimmer is unlike the typical cosmic horror setting. We aren't left to ponder its origins or its mechanics, because right from the start, the movie shows us something alien or otherworldly crashing into a lighthouse. Later on in the movie, we are given an explanation of the shimmer and what happens once you enter. Basically, the way it works is that once you enter the boundaries of the shimmer, it begins to refract everything under its sphere of influence. Because of this mechanic, we find many strange creatures and beings and phenomena within the shimmer. Think of it like Lego bricks, but instead of the Millennium Falcon, you end up making an inhuman amalgam of pure terror. All of this makes for a horrifying implication. It doesn't matter whether it's organic or inorganic, nothing is safe from the transformative and ever-changing nature of the shimmer. But even with all this, we are only scratching the surface of the shimmer. This is only what we are told. Because of how the movie handles things, it sets up layers upon layers of metaphor that goes beyond its basic mechanic of refraction. In this video, we'll be focusing on the details of the shimmer as it pertains to the movie only. This is part of a series I'm working on called Comprehending Cosmic Horror, so if you like where this goes, please like and please subscribe. Now, we just discussed how the shimmer works, so let's try to dive in deeper and try to find out what it might mean. Given that Annihilation is based off the book of Jeff Vandermeer, this gave the movie's director, Alex Garland, a chance to reinterpret to better fit the movie medium. The way he did that was by framing the entire journey through the lens of one character, Lena, a woman who is grieving the loss of her husband that went missing during a mission 1 year prior to the story. But the mystery begins to reveal itself once Kane, her husband, comes home one day a changed man. After seeming mentally unstable, he physically begins to deteriorate as well. Soon after, the agency studying and guarding the shimmer comes to take both Lena and Kane back to the facility. Lena, confused by what was happening, is briefed that Kane's mission 1 year ago was to enter the shimmer. But the twist is, it was supposed to be a one-way mission. He was never expected to come back. Ultimately, she decides to enter the shimmer and find the cure for Kane. However, once they do enter the shimmer, the movie then shows us this scene that puts everything into perspective. Lena was having an affair. Kane going off into the shimmer was his response to her destroying what he thought was a happy marriage. Just like how once the affair started, there was no going back for Lena, entering the shimmer meant entering the point of no return. It's here that the movie shows us the deeper interconnectivity and symbolism that the shimmer and Lena's relationship has. However, you might be thinking that the shimmer is all about Lena. That's not the case. A few moments later, we get another reveal. There's this scene right after we get to see some of the chaos that the shimmer has caused, and in it, we see Shepard and Lena on a boat talking about the members of the team. There, Lena discovers that each and every one in the team has had a major event throw their life into chaos. As Shepard puts it, she herself is grieving the loss of a child and the breakdown of her marriage. Anya has been sober, which means she's an addict. Radek has depression and has been cutting herself. And while Ventress's reason is unknown to her, we as the audience know that she has cancer and she wants to see the mission through after having sacrificed so many to study the area. All 5 of them have been thrown into situations that are causing their lives some form of grief or chaos. It's because of that scene that we can reframe the shimmer not just as a setting, but something more. Narrative-wise, the shimmer acted as a coping mechanism or a response for the team members. It provided them with a way out that isn't overtly them taking their own lives. On a more metaphorical level, it's almost a surreal but physical manifestation of their own struggles. With all these in mind, it just naturally elevates the concept of the shimmer from just a setting into something more abstract. The most obvious metaphor that the shimmer is embodying is the self-destructive nature of humankind. This is both through our nature and biology. There's a scene at the beginning of the movie when Lena is teaching her class. They're observing the multiplication of cells, and Lena reveals these to be cancer cells. Throughout the movie, we see the same illustrations mutate into something otherworldly, all while following the same patterns as cancer. But that's not all. The movie gives us one more scene where we can expand the abstract nature of the shimmer to the rest of the team members. This comes in the form of a flashback where Lena and Kane were at a happier point of their marriage. In bed with Kane, she explains how cells work. It's here that she tells Kane that as a human being, we age because our cells self-destruct. While the first scene gives us the first layer of the shimmer acting as a metaphor as to how we are built, the second adds another layer that points to it being a metaphor of human nature. We have metaphors stacked on top of each other. Now, I'm well aware that the people who watch the movie movie have associated the shimmer with cancer. I'm also well aware that there's this take that human beings are the cancer on the environment, and the shimmer is just trying to show that. And you know what? I'm not disputing any of those. However, upon rewatching and rewatching and rewatching, something finally snapped. I mean, clicked. The shimmer was more than cancer. The shimmer was more than a commentary on how humans are affecting the environment. The shimmer was a mirror. It was a reflection of our lives going through moments of turmoil. It's when we reach that point of no return. It's when parts and pieces of our lives jumble up together to make this incomprehensible creature that we have to face. The shimmer then becomes this place in our lives that is sometimes beautiful but dangerous, and the only way past it is to go through it all. Of course, this isn't to say that at some point in our lives a bear with a human face growing out of it will jump out of the darkness and drag us away, or that standing in your garden will turn you into a plant person. I mean, I hope. If you look at it on the surface level, that's about all you'll get. But thankfully, the movie shares with us different scenarios on how this might play out. It does this through the team we get to share this journey with. We get to see the different possibilities that might happen depending on how we deal with it. For Shepard, she was overcome by grief from the loss of her family. Plain and simple, that's why she joined. How did she go? She was consumed by the bear. Very on the nose, right? But if you give it more time, it ties in neatly with how other character arcs play out. Now, I know it might be random, but her death actually plays a larger part with how Radek's journey goes. Grief consumed Shepard until there was nothing left. At the end, all that was left of her was her pain. Anya was lost and avoiding everything. That's the main crux of her character arc. You can tell from different points of the movie, she couldn't accept anything that was happening. She was running away from the truth of her circumstances, but she couldn't outrun the truth that the shimmer was placing on her. Even before the shimmer could change her, her mind already broke and she met the same end as Shepard. In the end, Anya's avoidance of her problems and realities warped how she saw the world. She couldn't accept it for what it was, and that left her vulnerable to the dangers around her, ending her own journey through the mirror that is the shimmer. After Shepard's and Anya's death, Ventress leaves both Lena and Radek to pursue the cause of all of this. This leads to a somber moment between the two. It's a tender scene where the two are just sitting outside, pondering the nature of the shimmer and its implication in their own lives. For Radek, who had always been battling her own inner demons, the fate of Anya and Shepard offered some clarity. She bears to Lena that she couldn't imagine dying and having the last remaining part of herself be one filled with pain and sadness. Still, she doesn't want to face the shimmer like Ventress, and she doesn't want to fight it like Lena. Instead, she walks towards a garden where nature and humanity had merged and disappears within it. Radek's ending, to me, was ambiguous. I mean, was it peaceful or was it giving up? It's different for everyone who is experiencing the story. I, for one, see it as literally and figuratively staying in place, accepting the chaos, but also letting it be the status quo. It's like choosing to fade into a faceless husk, then being unable to change things for yourself and for others. This brings us to Ventress, who left them to face a being at the center of it all. Through Lena's perspective, we see that the journey alone was long and difficult. It was one that broke her, but ultimately, it left her standing on the beach, hardened, and choosing to fight the being instead of opting out. I can't imagine that it would be different for Ventress, who isn't even trained for combat. Regardless, the next we see of Ventress is when Lena arrives at the lighthouse and goes in deeper. She's laying on the ground with her back to Lena. Lena doesn't know it yet, but to us, we can see that she's no longer human. She tries to explain to Lena the undefinable nature of the being, telling Lena that it will ultimately lead to annihilation. The being then consumes her, making her projectile vomit light, with its chunks forming into the shape of cosmic bodies. Unlike Radek, Ventress chose to face whatever being was wreaking havoc in the shimmer. In a way, this was her confronting the source of all the chaos that was affecting her life. However, it consumed her. I would argue that even before they ventured into the shimmer, she was already lost to it. She had terminal cancer. The shimmer was her way out. In a way, this goes full circle with her being consumed by the shimmer as she was with her cancer. But what about Lena? She went the way of Ventress and faced the being. However, their fates are very much different. There's this scene where they're interrogating Lena, asking her how come she's the only one who made it back. After she's asked this, she looks at them as if the answer was obvious. She had to go back. She had to go back to Kane. We see how she did it immediately after Ventress fades away. The chunks of light begin coalescing into a black sphere with an otherworldly light at its center. It's the source of all the chaos, and Lena is transfixed at it. It takes a drop of her blood, and an otherworldly being then takes a humanoid form. Seeing what happened to Kane before seeing Ventress, she knew what was happening. The being was becoming her, copying all that she was. It's here that the being becomes a literal mirror of Lena. She tries to deny what was happening at first, spraying the being with bullets from her gun. Once that fails, she runs away from it until it knocks her out, all while mirroring her actions. When Lena finally accepts the nature of what's before her and what it has become, she knows what to do. With the being becoming human, it also assimilated our self-destructive nature. With the being becoming Lena, it bears with it the guilt and shame and the self-destructive tendencies that she had. Lena hands it a grenade, which it accepts as she walks away, pulling the pin in the process. From afar, Lena watches as the grenade explodes and burns away the otherworldly being, the shimmer, soon following suit. Unlike the others, Lena had a reason for being. She had somebody to go home to. Even with all that chaos, both from the shimmer and her own life, she chose to fight through it and go back to Kane. However, you might be thinking that my interpretation is strangely hopeful, but there's a reason for that. Given the nature of the shimmer as well as the ambiguity of the ending, it seems very challenging to find hope in this. But there's this quote from Jeff Vandermeer from the site New York that kind of offers me some comfort about the ending of the movie. In it, he says, "I often felt I was writing about hope amid horror, and the horrors are very much on the human side of things, as in the mysterious Area X." He further described it as writing about hope through desolation. I felt like Alex Garland, the writer and director of the movie, captured this both with the visuals and the story itself. The shimmer, to some, may feel like an apocalyptic event, no interpretation needed, and they wouldn't be wrong. However, for me, personally, I found the shimmer to be a surreal manifestation of the complexities of life. The sheer randomness of the refractions captured and matched the sheer unpredictability of daily life. It's about how something you could never have thought of can come at you for almost no reason at all. And once it does, there's no turning back. But if we just fight through it, if we tether ourselves to the ones who matter the most, maybe we can all get through the shimmers in our lives. The process will be long, the process will be difficult, and the process will definitely change us, but hopefully it's all for the better. If you like this video and you want to dive in deeper into the cosmic horror rabbit hole, I have more videos right here. Please like, please subscribe, and I hope to see you soon.